Have you ever thought the most innocent thing on your breakfast table could quietly fuel inflammation, digestive damage, and even cancer, especially after 60? I'm talking about oatmeal. Yes, that same bowl of comfort you've trusted for years. What if I told you that 4 tiny mistakes, ones you might be making every day, could turn your healthy breakfast into a long-term threat? This isn't fear-mongering, it's science. And I've seen the consequences firsthand. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci, and while most know me for my work in infectious disease and public health, I've spent the past decade focusing on senior health, particularly the small everyday decisions that shape long-term wellness in older adults. From advising the White House to guiding thousands of elderly Americans on how to stay vibrant through aging, I've come to believe one simple truth. What you think is healthy may not always be, especially if you're over 60. I've sat across from patients who couldn't figure out why they were bloated every morning, why their joints ached, their blood sugar spiked, or why their energy mysteriously faded by midday, even though they were doing everything right. Again and again, the same pattern surfaced. And time after time, the culprit pointed back to that one bowl of oatmeal and the silent mistakes they made while preparing it. In this video, I want to walk you through the 4 most dangerous oatmeal habits I've uncovered in my work with older adults. We'll explore the science, the hidden risks, but more importantly, I'll share real stories, people like you who changed just one small habit and saw their digestion, energy, and even lab work transform. We're not here to fear breakfast. We're here to reclaim it for vitality, for strength, for longevity. Because when it comes to senior health tips, the biggest wins often start with the smallest changes. Let's begin. Mistake number 1, reheating oatmeal. Reheating oatmeal might sound harmless, but for people over 60, it's a hidden hazard that can quietly increase your risk of chronic inflammation and cellular aging. I've seen this mistake countless times in my practice. Many older adults prepare a large batch of oatmeal, refrigerate it, and then reheat portions each day in the microwave. It seems smart, efficient, and nutritious. But the reality is more complicated. Oatmeal that sits for too long, especially when mixed with ingredients like milk cream or fruit, begins to oxidize and degrade. This sets the stage for harmful bacterial growth and chemical changes that aren't visible to the naked eye. The real danger, however, comes when that oatmeal is reheated, particularly in a high-powered microwave. This process generates advanced glycation end products, AGEs, harmful molecules that form when sugars bind with fats or proteins under intense heat. AGEs fuel inflammation, damage tissues, and have been linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive decline. Older adults are especially vulnerable as the body's natural defenses against oxidative stress weaken with age. Reheating oatmeal daily can act like a slow drip of inflammatory stress, invisible but cumulative. One example stands out clearly in my mind. George, a 75-year-old retired mechanic from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He followed what he thought was a perfect breakfast routine. Every Sunday, he cooked a big batch of steel-cut oats and reheated a portion each morning before his daily walk. Over time, George developed unexplained bloating, gut discomfort, and a constant lack of energy. Routine tests showed elevated inflammation markers, but nothing added up until we uncovered his breakfast habit. After eliminating reheated oats and switching to fresh single-serve preparations or overnight oats soaked in almond milk, his symptoms began to resolve. Within weeks, his energy returned and inflammation subsided. This wasn't a rare case. I've seen dozens just like it. And it reinforces a critical truth in senior health: how you prepare food is just as important as what you eat. So here's my question for you. Are you microwaving the same bowl of oats every morning? Let me know in the comments. Your routine may be more impactful than you think. Mistake number 2, overloading your oatmeal with sugar. It's easy to turn a healthy breakfast into dessert, especially when you're not measuring what goes into your bowl. I've seen it too many times. A spoonful of brown sugar, a drizzle of maple syrup, a splash of flavored creamer. By the time it's all mixed in, that humble bowl of oats has morphed into a sugar bomb, and for people over 60, this simple habit can quietly erode their health. Oatmeal already contains complex carbohydrates, which break down into glucose during digestion. That's natural. But when you pile on added sugars, especially refined ones, you're sending your blood glucose on a roller coaster. Your body, in response, floods itself with insulin to bring things back down. Do this often enough, and over time you may develop insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. But that's not the only problem. These repeated sugar surges trigger oxidative stress, which can damage blood vessels, organs, and even DNA. Over the years, this contributes to chronic inflammation, the underlying force behind many illnesses I treat in older adults, from pancreatic cancer to colon disease. Worse still, many seniors believe they're eating healthy because they start their day with oatmeal. What they don't realize is that the sugar they're adding in the name of flavor may be slowly undoing the benefits they hope to gain. I recall working with Evelyn, a 72-year-old widow from Reno, Nevada. She had a strong family history of diabetes, so she made an effort to eat clean every day. But during her checkups, her blood sugar levels were inching up, and she constantly complained of mid-morning fatigue. We reviewed her meals, and her breakfast routine stood out. Every morning, oatmeal with 2 spoons of brown sugar, a flavored vanilla creamer, and dried cranberries. I explained how even natural sugars, when concentrated, could spike blood sugar, especially first thing in the morning. Together, we built a new routine: fresh oats, topped with blueberries, sliced banana, a pinch of cinnamon, and a spoonful of chia seeds for texture and fiber. 6 weeks later, Evelyn returned with brighter energy and lab work that backed it up. Her glucose was stable, her inflammation markers had dropped, and her fatigue was gone. Sugar doesn't just sweeten the moment. It shapes your metabolism, your energy, and your long-term vitality. In Senior Health Tips, learning how to enjoy natural sweetness is one of the most powerful and overlooked forms of prevention. So now I ask you, what do you add to your oatmeal to make it taste better? Comment below and take a closer look at your spoon tomorrow morning. Mistake number 3, cooking oatmeal at high temperatures. It's a mistake I see more often than you might think, and yet it rarely shows up on a lab report. It hides in plain sight. Many older adults rush through breakfast. They crank up the stovetop flame, boil the oats fast, or blast them in the microwave at full power. 2 minutes. Done. Simple, right? But here's the truth. Cooking oatmeal at high heat, especially with little liquid, creates invisible damage. And for people over 60, that damage adds up quickly. Let's talk science. When oats are exposed to intense heat, especially without enough moisture, it triggers a chemical process called the Maillard reaction. This is what gives browned foods their flavor. Think toast, roasted coffee, seared meat. It's delicious, yes. But in certain foods, it can go too far. In oatmeal, the Maillard reaction leads to the formation of advanced glycation end products, the same harmful compounds we discussed earlier. Ages accelerate inflammation, contribute to joint stiffness, vascular damage, and cellular aging. Even if your oatmeal doesn't look burned, cooking it at excessive temperatures can still cause these harmful reactions inside your food. The body, especially as it ages, becomes less effective at clearing ages, allowing them to accumulate in tissues, especially joints and organs. I remember working with Dennis, a 68-year-old retired fire chief from Des Moines. He was in great shape for his age, walked daily, ate clean. But during a routine checkup, we noticed elevated inflammatory markers and early signs of stiffness in his hands and knees. He brushed it off. "Must be old firefighter joints," he said. But when I dug into his diet, one detail stood out. Every morning, Dennis cooked his oatmeal in the microwave at full power for 90 seconds, no water added after refrigeration. He liked it thick, hot, and fast. I asked him to change just one thing: lower the heat. We moved him to stovetop cooking on low to medium heat, using a proper ratio of 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of oats, and had him stir frequently. Within a month, his inflammation markers dropped. The stiffness eased. And his oatmeal, creamier, nuttier, better. In senior health, speed isn't always your friend. Taking time to cook gently can preserve nutrients, prevent harmful byproducts, and support long-term vitality. So, here's a question worth asking. Are you rushing your oatmeal or respecting the process? Let me know below. You might be surprised how much better you'll feel by slowing down. Mistake number 4. Using artificial sweeteners in oatmeal in an effort to eat clean or manage blood sugar. Many older adults reach for those little blue, pink, or yellow packets. Sucralose, saccharin, aspartame. No calories, no sugar, no problem, right? Not exactly. I've treated dozens of seniors who believed they were making a smarter choice by avoiding sugar. But what they didn't realize was that artificial sweeteners, especially when added to hot foods like oatmeal, may do more harm than good, and in ways that aren't immediately obvious. Let's look at what's happening behind the scenes. Artificial sweeteners are chemically engineered to taste sweet without raising blood glucose. But studies have shown they can disrupt the gut microbiome, the delicate balance of trillions of bacteria that influence digestion, immunity, and even brain function. For older adults whose microbiome diversity is already reduced due to age, this disruption can lead to a condition called dysbiosis, an imbalance that triggers chronic inflammation, digestive discomfort, fatigue, and even a weakened immune system. Now here's where it gets worse. When these sweeteners are stirred into hot oatmeal, they may degrade chemically, especially in the acidic environment of the digestive tract. This can release byproducts that the body struggles to process, leading to long-term damage that often goes unnoticed. One patient I'll never forget was Barbara, a 70-year-old retired elementary school teacher from Madison, Wisconsin. She was thoughtful, health conscious, and loved her routines, and every morning for over a decade she sweetened her oatmeal with a packet of aspartame. But when she came in, she was dealing with bloating, irregular digestion, and a kind of low-grade fatigue that never seemed to lift. Her labs showed elevated inflammation markers, something we couldn't ignore. After a careful review of her diet, we made one simple shift. We removed the artificial sweetener and replaced it with fresh blueberries, banana slices, and a drizzle of pure maple syrup, no more than a teaspoon. Cinnamon and nutmeg added warmth and depth. Chia seeds brought in fiber and healthy fat. The transformation was real. Within weeks, Barbara's digestion improved. Her energy levels climbed, and her follow-up blood work showed decreased inflammation. More than that, she told me she finally enjoyed breakfast again. In senior health, it's not just about avoiding sugar, it's about nurturing the body's natural systems. And your gut, it's the cornerstone. So tell me this, are you relying on artificial sweeteners, thinking you're doing the right thing? Let's talk about it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else. It's easy to think that oatmeal, such a humble, familiar food, couldn't possibly be dangerous. But over the past 20 years, working in senior care, I've seen something different. It's not the food itself, but the habits wrapped around it that quietly shape our health. We've talked about 4 critical mistakes. Reheating leftover oatmeal, which forms inflammatory ages. Adding too much sugar, leading to blood sugar spikes and long-term damage. Cooking at high temperatures, stripping nutrients and accelerating joint stiffness. And using artificial sweeteners, disrupting gut health and immunity. Each mistake alone may seem small, but together, repeated morning after morning, they quietly stack up, leaving many older adults confused about why they feel bloated, tired, or inflamed despite eating right. As a doctor, I've learned that elderly wisdom often comes from unlearning what we assumed was safe. The truth is, food can either fuel healing or fuel the fire of chronic disease. The good news, small changes work. I've watched patients regain energy, improve digestion, lower inflammation, and even rekindle joy in their morning routines, just by making better choices with oatmeal. The secret is intentional simplicity. Prepare only what you'll eat. Use low heat to preserve integrity. Sweeten naturally, not artificially. And treat your gut like it matters, because it does. If you're someone who has fallen into one of these habits, you're not alone, and you're not too late. Every bowl is a new chance to treat your body kindly. Tomorrow morning, when you reach for your oats, what story will your breakfast tell? Will it speak of shortcuts and compromise? Or will it reflect a wiser, gentler commitment to yourself? One that honors your years, your body, and your future. Because the best senior health tips aren't complicated, they're compassionate. And sometimes healing starts with a spoon. There's something quietly powerful about choosing to care for yourself each morning. No fanfare, no grand gestures. Just a warm bowl, a steady hand, and a deeper awareness of what your body needs today, not what worked 30 years ago. That's the beauty of growing older. Your body speaks more clearly if you're willing to listen. And the rituals you build, even as simple as how you prepare breakfast, begin to reflect the kind of respect you've earned through the years. I've worked with thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Some come in carrying medication lists. Others bring questions, frustrations, or quiet fear. But what I've come to realize is that the most meaningful shifts don't come from prescriptions. They come from understanding how food interacts with inflammation, how sugar plays with energy, how your gut health influences everything from mood to memory, and how your routines, when left unchecked, can either support you or slowly pull you away from your best self. So if you've made it to the end of this video, I want to say this: you are not fragile. You are adaptable. You are not behind. You are just beginning again. And every choice you make from here is a vote for your strength, your clarity, and your future. Thank you for being here and for choosing to show up for your health, not with fear, but with wisdom. If this video meant something to you, Subscribe to Senior Guide so we can continue walking this journey together. One gentle, nourishing habit at a time.